Hello, true duelists. YGO Strats here in the graveyard. Get it? It's like the discard pile for Yu-Gi-Oh! I know, some real clever jokes here, real thought-provoking commentary going on in these videos. Welcome to Why Not Play, a series where I talk about why I play and why maybe you should play various decks. This week I'm talking about zombies. The Walking Dead. Get it? It's a very subtle reference to the hit television series you stopped watching in like 2012, The Walking Dead. Only with more turtles. Zombie is arguably the best supported type in the game.
Stop the cap!
Kinda. They don't have as much as, say, Warrior or Dragon, but their generic stuff is insane, and to this day gets more and more generic support that works with all the zombie cards previously, to the point where it's one of the few types that isn't really known so much for its archetypes as much as it is good stuff.deck. I picked them up in 2016 after a friend stopped playing and gave me his zombie core to kind of toy around with. And toy with it I did. I made a true abomination of a deck that I recently found the YDK file for from an old YGO Pro folder on an old laptop, which I will be showing you at the end of this video. But before that, we go over the good stuff and the bad stuff. And I don't really have to mention the ugly because they're all zombies. They aren't exactly known for their beauty, mostly. There's plenty to mention here for this, so I'm just going to say that this is for a very specific type of modern zombie deck. It's not Shiranui or Mayakashi or Skull Servant or Vampire or whatever zombie archetype you might be familiar with that I maybe forgot to mention other than those four. Sorry to all of you Spirit of the Pharaoh deck players. I'll talk about you when I see proof of you winning a single duel literally ever. No, I'm talking about that generic zombie pile that maybe uses some of those cards from some of those archetypes, not Spirit of the Pharaoh though, to make use of Zombie World and combo into Oblivion. There's also the new set Dimension Force coming out in May, in terms of when I'm making/releasing this video, which has some awesome new zombie synchros. And if you don't know from this series, I love synchro cards. I do have a problem. Also a fun fact that you may not know, but the second deck I bought ever was the Rise of the Dragonlord structure deck, and what got me into actually building my first ever dragon deck. So the fact that Felgrand is now getting a synchro version means I'm going to have to play it, even though it's not a very good card. And also not even a dragon anymore. But I don't care. Loyalty is where it's at, and loyalty to the OG boss monster that I once had. Enough, onto the zombie pile. Starting first with the old school stuff. One of the oldest and to this day best zombie cards is Mizuki. It's almost useless on the field, but in the grave can banish itself to revive another zombie in your graveyard. Not once per turn. Hell yes. There's a reason it's been on the limited lists before, and it is still abusable as hell to this day, especially when paired with something like Zombie World, which I'll get into in a bit. There's also Zombie Master, the type of card that was good in like 2009 that got power crept into the abyss of useless cards, but it's still fun in old school builds. Able to discard a card to revive another zombie, including the zombie you discarded as long as you already had a legal target when activating that effect. This hasn't been used in years, but it has a place in my heart for the zombie decks of old. Goblin Zombie is another somewhat power-crept card in the modern day, but paired with Mizuki and Zombie Master can get you damn near endless searches. Something to note about it is that it can search a copy of itself, and the vast majority of zombie cards have no defense, so the 1200 or less clause honestly kind of may as well not even be there. Pyramid Turtle is a recruiter and therefore useless if you aren't playing in an old format deck, or unless you're just a fan of losing. Sometimes both those conditions do apply at once though. You can lose in old formats by playing a zombie deck. And the last of the old school zombies in my mind would be Plague Spreader. You probably know this card in the modern day as one of the few good summons off of Hulk after the Tuner massacre that card caused, but being a zombie makes it great for plays with Mizuki in regards to either synchro or link plays. It's also a dope looking ultimate rare, so unless you're a peasant, it's what you should be playing. I think we're safe from the Hulk tuner bans by now, so this card should be safe to keep around. Should be. And if you have those cards, you should be able to be a half decent player in any 2009 format. Hooray! Now for the modern stuff, the cracked things. The first good new zombie card is to this day a staple of zombie.deck and a retrain of a card you probably didn't know existed. Three-legged zombie. Seen here with only 2 legs. Where's the third one? Oh, there it is. Unizombie can discard a card to increase a monster's level on the field by 1, or foolish any zombie from the deck to do the same thing. But if it uses the foolish effect, then only zombie monsters can attack for that turn. It is an insane card and a big reason to play the deck. And thankfully, its name does not force an inappropriate joke, so I don't have to point at another zombie penis. The next card is Zombie Tuner Lonefire. Shiranui Solitaire is great in its deck and in zombie.deck, and paired with Unizombie and Mizuki can make for a free Synchro 8 or Link 2, just as long as it doesn't get negated. There's a lot of things that can negate it. All of this made for a decent deck with an otherwise generic strategy of Synchro end boards, but then we ended up getting the Zombie Structure deck, or the retrain of the old one, or whatever. We got our own special boss monster to negate things with, which is what modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Needs. Necroworld Banshee will make the Zombie World field spell untargetable and indestructible while she's on the field, and can be banished from the field or graveyard to activate Zombie World from the deck. And since she's a valid target to be sent to the grave with Unizombie, can make that card very, very accessible, which is good because the other cards work best with it on the field. Glow Up Bloom is another hypothetical tuner for Hulk plays, but more importantly, when it's sent to the grave, can be banished to either add a level 5 or higher zombie monster from deck to the hand, but if you have Zombie World face up, you can instead special summon that monster. If you use this effect, it does lock you into special summoning only zombies for the turn, but with new zombie cards coming, that shouldn't be too bad. Copium. Either way, you're using it to grab one card in particular. The thumbnail for this video, Doom King Balerdrock. Probably saying that wrong. Doom King can once per chain as a quick effect when a zombie monster uses its effect, either negate that effect or banish one monster from the field or grave. A non-targetable banish, and a monster negate that's cracked with Zombie World on the field because it makes everything on the field a zombie, meaning it can negate any monster effect on field. And if there isn't a Zombie World on field, it does negate Ash, so that's cool. And has 2800 attack. How could it be better? Oh, probably by reviving itself from the grave during any standby if there's a face-up field spell. And it does, so it gets even better. It means using it for link material or even synchro material, because this plus flag spreader is a Baron on field. It's fine, because during the next turn, on your opponent's standby phase, you can just revive it for an additional piece of disruption. And that's really the core of zombie decks these days. These monsters with whatever other cards you like, and way too many of those choices to choose from. Vampire Sucker is a horrible name for a great card, drawing a card whenever a zombie is summoned from the grave, pairing beautifully with Doom King and or Zombie World. Avendread Savior is another foolish burial for the deck when it battles a monster, and the new Zombie Synchros include another foolish effect and the ability to revive itself when a zombie is destroyed by battle. One can banish on summon as well as negate a monster when a zombie is revived from the grave, and a quick effect revival on the opponent's turn, as well as self-recursion from the graveyard by banishing a zombie. These 3 synchros all have a varying degrees of reasonably strong effects, and honestly, I like them. Ha-Dez has historically been a good Synchro 6 for climbing the Synchro ladder by abusing Mizuki, and the Shiranui level 6 is a good modern alternative. Red Eye Zombie Dragon is a very funny beat stick when you use Zombie World, and brings any zombie back when another zombie is destroyed by battle. And that's not mentioning that zombies have the strongest card of everything released from 2017. DDD combos, The Grass is Always Greener, Zodiac Engines, all terrible and irrelevant compared to the absolute powerhouse that is Sea Monster of Theseus, a vanilla fusion tuner. But hey, Mizuki can summon it, and so can Instant Fusion. Broken much? And that's not mentioning things like Jacob Bolan, who can revive zombies for more extension, and my favorite Beast of the Pharaoh, who can make some insane boards when using the right setup. Damn near endless synchro summons since it can revive itself. There's also the new level 6 zombie that gets the deck another Foolish of a zombie card, and if banished, can banish a zombie engraved to revive itself. Plus, it being level 6 helps zombies to make Beatrice, who has an effect that zombies can use. You see, she has a unique ability that this deck doesn't have too much access to be able to send a monster from the deck to the graveyard. Have I mentioned that zombies like that yet? I don't know if I've gone over enough Foolish effects in this video. I just want to make sure I'm being clear. They also have a Zombie Icarus attack, a Mind Control if you control a level 5 or higher zombie, a DD Crow and Monster Reborn in one spell card, a Monster Reborn that banishes a zombie from the deck and can shuffle a banished zombie into the deck to set itself back onto the field from the graveyard. There's a lot of powerful things that zombies have access to that are pretty specific to zombies, but they also can abuse a lot of very common and generically splashable things as well. Cyframe Omega's ability to return banished monsters to the grave is perfect for Mizuki. The abundance of dark monsters makes Allure an easy fit into the deck, and Burial from a Different Dimension can be 3 Monster Reborns once you've already used all your Mizukis. Plus, due to the deck's love of abusing Graveyard, it pairs super well with a Danger package for more extension. Even if you end up pitching the zombies, you probably want them there anyways. This video is a little tough to keep simple because I was dumb and chose an entire type for the topic as opposed to a coherent archetype. And I know I say this about a number of decks, but it's really easy to cater this one to your preferences. There are the generic decks like the version I've always played and I'm more or less talking about, but dedicated archetypes can abuse damn near everything I've spoken about. Things like Shiranui and Vampire, Mayakashi, and probably even more archetypes in the future. If you like the samurai theme of Shiranui, you can play that and still abuse a good card like Mizuki. If you like the artwork of Spawn and don't mind losing, Vendread was a super fun deck I played for a time when I still had hope it would get good support. And there's more, I'm sure. Zombie's also a pretty consistent deck in general. You can definitely brick with too many Mizukis and not enough ways to get them into the grave, but just about every card in the deck is pitching from the hand or sending from the deck for their effects, and it's easy to abuse cards in the graveyard once you get them there. There's also the funny fact that Dragon Necro exists, and by funny I mean even back in the day my friend would use Zombie World and Super Poly to summon away my monsters as materials for this thing. That is both a legal and very annoying play you can make, but it does make for easy board breaking if you can get Zombie World to stick. Zombie World also makes for just fantastic meta hate as it shuts down a surprising number of decks with its effect, making everything zombies will fuck over decks that require specific types to use their effects. Adamantipator's will need rocks to summon like Researcher from your hand. Dragon Maid can't really fusion summon Dragon Maid monsters because they need dragons and you're turning them all into zombies. Fluwandereeze wants to tribute summon on your turn. Well, they can only tribute summon zombie monsters and not the winged beast monsters that are in their hand. It is actually frustratingly good against a surprising number of decks, and you're maining it and you want to keep it up as part of your core strategy. That just helps you even more. The deck does die to effects that shut off the graveyard, and if Necro Valley hits the fields and you're playing this deck, it sucks to suck. But it's super fun, super generic, and historically reliable. Literally, the oldest top with the zombie deck on YGOTopDecks.com is from April of 2005, and it's got a top at regional as recently as 2020. It's not the best deck by any means, but it has clearly stood the test of time as a reliable deck for locals or even regional play. For the modern build, I'm admittedly still toying with mine, so don't take this as the great deck to pick up and play as it is, but one that needs some work. It's got some solid, cheeky plays. Nobody really expects Black Rose these days, and the dangers really help to put bodies on board for your Link plays or whatever. Ready Fusion makes it able to use Flame Ghost or Theseus, able to be used in a pinch to make either a Synchro or a Link play as needed, and the end boards can be pretty nasty, though I do think I prefer going second with it. Like I said, it's at best, it's a diamond in the rough. This, on the other hand, is the unholy abomination I built in 2016. Omega and Instant Fusion are both limited, and Soul Charge, Norden, and Glow Up Bulb are now banned. So playing it, picking up this list-wise is not doable in the current format. And it also has my 2016 patented 2 Twin Sister, 1 Regeki, in case I go second, but even still, it was a damn fun deck. Summoner Monk could get out any level 4 I wanted. Trick Clown and the Beast of the Pharaoh made for easy synchro climbing, and in my single biggest brain maneuver, I had come up with the conclusion that Galaxy Soldier and Solar Windjammer could be used with Unizombie to make an easy level 8 synchro, or with the right hand could go into infinity. The same applied to Instant Fusion for Panzer Dragon. E-Telly could break out Ghost Ogre for either a synchro summon or on the opponent's turn, since Ghost Ogre's effect can be used on the field, and if I had a Mizuki on field and Glow Up Bulb, Naturia Beast was live. It was not the most consistent thing I've ever built, but man did I have a blast using this amongst friends and just seeing how high I could push the ceiling even in spite of the bricks. One of my favorite decks that I've built to this day, just for how cool the boards I could make with it were, and with how well I could do at local levels with it. So if you want a reliable, customizable, and explosive combo deck that has mained meta hate and a long history of being playable in various metas, I recommend Zombies. Most of the core came in a structure deck, and what didn't has had enough reprints to be cheap to pick up on paper. Plus, in a month's time from this video, we're getting even more tools to play with. So, it's gonna be supported forever real. Thank you for watching. Leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed. And Carl, I need you to stay inside the house. I can't, I've been talking too much. I can't do a fucking Rick Grimes impression right now. Anyway, subscribe to YGO Strats so that you too can become a true duelist. That's what happens when you subscribe to me.